of the Warrior.
Way of the Warrior. It is your MMA show. You can catch us on Twitter and Facebook at Wow Show. It's our esteemed pleasure right now to welcome to the program Shannon Lee, daughter of Bruce Lee, is joining us. And Shannon, the movie is called I Am Bruce Lee. 2-night only special engagement this Thursday and next Wednesday. Why now? Why are we seeing this movie come out now and kind of get a resurgence? And I know for those of us who are in the mixed martial arts community, it's really not a resurgence, but it kind of seems like the mainstream is seeing a resurgence of Bruce Lee.
Well, certainly, even with the MMA, there is a continued expansion and growth. I mean, now, of course, UFC is on Fox, and so the growth just continues to happen. For us, you know, we really were looking at a really unique opportunity to tell my father's story in a new and interesting way, which is to relate his story through the people who knew him, but also to relate his story through people who did not know him but know him and are influenced by his legacy. You know, they know his legacy and they know what he has left behind and what they have gained from that and been able to utilize in their own lives. And so I think in a way we're really sort of in 2012, this year of the dragon, which my father was also born in the year of the dragon, we're really starting to catch up to where he was in a lot of things he was doing in his life back in the 60s and 70s.
And people who may not have been able to study that part might be surprised because they watch his movies and they think that that's all there is. But as a philosopher, you're absolutely right. He was at least 30 years ahead of his time as far as what he was doing and the philosophies he was putting out there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, I think that's one thing that I really hope people gain is that from this film, is that they go to the film because they know the movies and they find him exciting and they maybe want to know a little bit more. But when they go, they're going to get this much more complete picture of who he was and the influence that he's had on popular culture today and on not only the martial arts and action films, but fitness and free thinking and and personal expression and all those sorts of things, and how he's been able to influence people across so many different fields and genres through his, continual peeling of himself and expressing that out into the world.
Shannon, how did this whole process start? Like, when were you guys on board with this film and starting to contribute the home movies and those sorts of things? How did that whole thing from an idea become I Am Bruce Lee?
Yeah, we were approached, it was probably been a year ago now, maybe a little over a year, by Network Entertainment, which is a production company out of Canada that we partnered with on this. And they said, we'd really like to do a Bruce Lee documentary. We've just done a documentary on Muhammad Ali called Facing Ali, and we really took an innovative approach. And, we'd like you to see that film and then talk to you about our vision for this one. And at first I thought, another Bruce Lee documentary. There have been a number of Bruce Lee documentaries. What are we going to do that's different here? But when I looked at their film Facing Ali, I really loved the depth of the storytelling and the way you got to sort of peer into the character and persona of Muhammad Ali through the eyes of the people who faced him in the ring. And here is a very similar process. So you get to see and glimpse into the life of Bruce Lee through the people who knew him and worked with him, but also through this giant legacy that he's left behind, with the likes of Dana White and Kobe Bryant and Manny Pacquiao and Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas and, all these different people.
And so the movie is out. It's Thursday and Wednesday, and then afterwards it's going to show on Spike in March, ultimately. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And then when will people be able to actually own this?
It will come out on DVD probably a couple months after it airs on Spike, so I would look to June or so for the DVD.
And Shannon Lee is joining us. And if I'm the biggest Bruce Lee fan on the planet, I've been following him for years and years and years, what in this is going to surprise me? Because you've found and used a lot of archival footage that not a lot of people have had access to or seen at all. So what's something that's going to surprise me when I watch this movie?
I guess for the big Bruce Lee fan, I think something that will be surprising is the variety of opinion that's offered and the glimpse into not just his life, but what he was doing and how it has affected people going forward. And there's a bit of a debate in the film about, what is he the father of mixed martial arts? Was he really an amazing martial artist or just an actor? So, it's interesting to hear the variety of opinions, and I really think that people will be actually quite touched and moved by the film.
And you were pretty young when he died, obviously, but in your summation of knowing what you know about your father and the people that you've interacted with that knew him as well, do you think he would be comfortable being called the father of mixed martial arts?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it, and I'll tell you why. I mean, obviously, it's easier for me because I can just sort of look at it through 20/20 hindsight. If he were still with us today, he might very well have been the father of mixed martial arts. But I don't have a problem with it because I think, MMA and the sport and UFC and all of that has grown out of the notion that in order to be a complete fighter, you need to be able to attack and defend against any strategy. So you need to be able to have a stand-up game and a ground game, and you need to be able to flow seamlessly between those two and deal with anything that comes at you. And that was really my father's philosophy. He was more interested in it from a street fighting standpoint, no holds barred, no illegal moves sort of thing. But I think from a sport standpoint, he would have loved to have seen these types of contests today and been really intrigued and excited by them. And I do think that there's a very natural line to that type of thinking that he was having about staying away from only one style.
Absolutely.
And being a complete fighter to what's happening today.
Shannon Lee is joining us. The movie is I Am Bruce Lee, out Thursday and Wednesday, then going to air on Spike. And you're also working on a musical, right?
Yes, I'm working on a number of things. Actually.
Well, you're always working on a number of things, but that's kind of the thing that you're sort of focusing on right now, right?
There is a Broadway musical that's in the works. We've been working on for a little while. We also have a couple of film projects and a kids animated TV series in the works. And I'm working to build the Bruce Lee Action Museum through my charity, the Bruce Lee Foundation, in the Seattle, Washington area right now.
That's awesome. And one last question before I let you go, just because I've been fascinated by your father since I was a child. Mm-hmm. Given his philosophy and the resurgence and how people, anytime he pops up in any sort of pop culture moment, they run towards it and they really can't get enough. Would you ever see, or do you even know in America if there would be a philosophy class taught using your father's teachings?
That's interesting. Yes, I do think that there very well could be. And in fact, there have been, in a few instances here and there, teachers in this country and in other countries who have incorporated him and his thinking into their curriculum. So I do think that there really could be, because to me, one of the things that's amazing about his philosophy is not just, the wonderful thoughts and words, but that he took them and put them into action.
Absolutely. Well, I asked that question because out east there are actually a couple social science classes where they're teaching the philosophy of Jay-Z, and I figured that your father is much more important than Jay-Z. So I figured that couldn't be too far away. Shannon Lee has been joining us. The movie is I Am Bruce Lee. Do not miss this. It's out this week and next week, day after Valentine's Day, so no excuses to get out and check that out. You can get the full list on our Facebook page or the Bruce Lee Facebook page. Shannon Lee has joined us. Shannon, it has been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with us.
Oh, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, you too.
And when we return on Way of the Warrior, let's break down some MMA news that has nothing to do with Nick Diaz retiring or not retiring. Let's do that. It's next on Way of the Warrior.